Therapeutic boarding schools have been on the rise in the United States since the 1970s. In the last 10 to 20 years, we've seen an even larger increase in enrollment and admissions, and there have been more established therapeutic boarding schools across our country than at any other time before. There are a lot of different factors that play into this, but the stigma against seeking therapy has started to decline, and that most likely has a big effect towards why we're starting to see more of a rise of therapeutic boarding schools and a really well-established base of schools. What's interesting when we look at therapeutic boarding schools is when we overlay it to the life cycle of an organization. So organizations have life cycles just like humans, and at the beginning of an organization's life cycle, having consultants that come in to help build and foster growth can be a really valuable component to an organization. And therapeutic boarding schools at the inset or the onset of their conception had educational consultants who still play a big role today in therapeutic boarding schools help increase enrollments by working with parents to get them a proper fitting for their child towards what transition program they're looking for in a therapeutic boarding school. So there's already a niche of consulting within therapeutic boarding schools for educational consultants who are really looking at placement aspects of it. We'll jump ahead to the life cycle of the organization to 10 to 20 years later, and we're looking at schools who have been really well established, who have high functioning or high enrollment, and have been working with their curriculum that's been about the same for the last 10 to 15 years, with minor adjustments here and there. Well, according to the life cycle of an organization, around the 10 to 12 year mark, organizations will want to look at the systems that they have in place and what they've been doing for productivity and revamp it or revise it. Usually that revising of whatever their process is leads to further growth along the life cycle of an organization. Doing nothing usually keeps them stagnant or puts them on a decline. So if we're looking at therapeutic boarding schools, right about now, we've got about 300 or so established therapeutic boarding schools who are all in a prime time to start to receive another type of consultation. Currently, the form of consultation that I'm about to offer is not anywhere out in the field it's not being offered anywhere in the field of therapeutic boarding schools. What I'm suggesting is consultation for the clinical department of therapeutic boarding schools within two major frameworks. The first framework of consultation would be working with the clinical staff of different boarding schools to revamp and revise and refine their clinical curriculum. Most therapeutic boarding schools have a set curriculum that students and parents will work through over their stay at the boarding school. And this curriculum can have so many different types of interventions in it and can touch on so many different components. It's the beauty of working with clinical curriculum in alignment with the overall theoretical orientation or mission statement or philosophy of the school. So the first thing I would offer as a consultant is to come in and work with the clinical staff on what's actually working with the curriculum, where do they have frustrations, what would they like to see change, and then I would empower the clinicians to access their own strengths, their own interests, and bring that to the table as we recreate or refine the clinical curriculum overall that students and parents will interface with. This process in and of itself can be a long process or a short process. There's a lot of engagement that would happen with the clinical staff to revise and create the type of curriculum that really serves the program that they're wanting to have. The second type of consultation that would be of benefit to a clinical department is looking at the family's involvement with their therapeutic aspect, the therapeutic expectations while the student is at the school. According to Denise Dryden, who's a well-known parent coach throughout the industry of therapeutic boarding schools, more and more schools have been taking on the task of offering parent or family retreats. While not all schools have this as a component of their clinical expectations yet, more are. So one of the really great things that a consultant like myself could do is come in and help a clinical staff evaluate and look at the effectiveness of their family or parent retreat. One of the things that could also happen is for a school who has yet to develop their own family retreat, you could hire me in as a consultant to not only help your clinical staff create a family retreat, but you could also hire me in with the curriculum that I already have as as a facilitator of family retreats, and I could bring that intact in and offer it to your organization. Both aspects of this type of consultation would include assessment, evaluation, looking at how did we really meet our objectives and our goals as part of the consultation at the close to the termination of consultation. I would work with you through a process-based model of consultation, and what this simply means is my goal is to recognize that change is inherent, that the company or the therapeutic boarding school is at a place in its life cycle where consultation would be of benefit to move it forwards. And my job as a consultant would be to come in and to work with the strengths and the wisdom and the experience that's already on the table from the clinical staff to find a way to bring that all together and create a program that is more tuned and aligned with the theoretical orientation and mission statement of the organization.